weekend all. Ira Epstein with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is with your weekly edition for this Friday, and we're at the 24th of June, 2022. Pretty soon, believe it or not, 4th of July coming. So remember that, a week from this coming Monday, the markets won't be open. Just mark that down. Coming also to the end of a important quarter. We'll see if there's evening up on the middle of the week from that. That often does occur too. In the metals, you were up a little bit in the gold. I thought the market would hold in the low 1820s, and it actually did, and I had told traders that work with me on that so much. Copper market seems to me it's exhausting itself on the downside. You plunged today, got down from where you closed another 10 cents lower, and only managed to close slightly down. There gets to be a point where a market overdoes it. We might be getting to those numbers. But remember, what we look at in this video are the weekly charts primarily. We start off with one monthly chart, and do you see that gold on a monthly basis just hasn't gone anywhere? Now, because it's a monthly chart, you have an awful lot of data. You can see how this market has hung in here. Obviously, this big move up was the invasion by Russia in Ukraine, and since then it's set back. Inflation hasn't done diddly in gold. It has just been going sideways, actually, since mid-2020, and it's just been hanging in there. So if you're making an inflation story, and I see so many people writing about it with gold, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying it hasn't happened, present tense. When we look at a weekly chart of closes, there's nothing bullish here. Market is still pointing to the downside. When you come to the weekly bar chart, this is sort of a messy chart. Now, let me explain it to you. We do have a pattern of lower highs, but we also suddenly have a higher low. I don't like when that occurs. It means the market's gone into a pause. So as much as on the daily charts, I'm still in the bear camp, on the weekly chart, I've gone into a pause unless you take out 1805.30. From where you're at, that's 20, how much is that going to be from here? That's going to be about $21 from here. If it can take that out, then we start looking below the market that maybe this comes into play, the 200, the 200-week average. You're fighting at the 100, as you can see. So where's the Bollinger Band? This is where the support's likely to show up, 1790.80. This market, as so many markets do, rarely likes to stay out of the upper or lower band. Can it happen? Most certainly. Obviously, the Ukraine situation kicked this market up and over it, but once the war began, it just settled right back into it. And barring that war event, you're hard-pressed to keep the market more than a week or two under a Bollinger Band or over it. So just remember that. Bollinger Bands are so darn important. And if you learn how to use momentum with them, you have an edge over the guy sitting next to you by a lot, because on a lot of charts, what happens is the momentum turns before the price, and people don't know how to read it. In addition, you can take the MACD. I used to teach MACD, so I'm not just used it, I was a teacher of it. I believe this blows it away. I don't think there's any comparison between the two or any of the other indicators. RSI, there's different versions of RSI. I've worked with them. I think the slow stochastic that George Linn developed in combination with Bollinger Bands, the most deadly combination I've seen in terms of catching market changes in momentum. But in any case, the Bollinger Bands by themselves, as developed by John Bollinger, well, what he teaches is the market will stay within these bands 95% of the time. There are events that take you out of it from time to time, but not more than 5%, period. The algorithm will adjust to the market. That's what goes on. The gold-silver ratio, the higher it goes, it's not good. It means that silver just keeps losing to the gold market. And why is silver losing? Because the world is in a recession. I know you don't believe that necessarily, and I know that if you go to school and you learn economics, you'll say, well, Ira, all the metrics aren't there. And I get it. The problem is this is in school. This is the real world. And in the real world, there's serious issues. You have supply chain issues that have slowed the economies down. They haven't fixed themselves. The chip issues haven't fixed themselves. That exasperates with the fact that as inflation picked itself up in large part because of supply chain issues and because governments, including the United States, printed money at reckless abandon. And what that did is they just threw money. Hey, you have COVID. We're going to take care of it. I was reading in Chicago. I'm laughing because I have friends in the jewelry business. And as the government's giving away $10,000 at a time, if you have a company, just file a piece of paper. Nobody's checking anything. People are running in. They're buying all this jewelry and everything. And my friends are going, Ira, where's all this money coming from? We've never seen these people. Well, that ended. Guess what? 2 weeks ago. Chicago, mayor, the governor. We can't believe how much fraud there was in that. I'm laughing. This is craziness. The government set it up. They're going to give you all this money, and then they're counting on the states to help with the disbursements of it. Sure, that's going to work real well. All right. So as you see, you're still very much with silver, copper under a lot of pressure. You could be headed here into the 2043, 1990 level. Momentum is still pointing to the downside. You'll get short covering from every now and then, but who really thinks industry is going to pick up right now? I keep reading reports that the fourth quarter market's going to come alive because China is going to be out of their COVID malaise. Why? What if another variant hits? Are they going to change their zero tolerance policy? What is wrong with you people? If they're going to keep that zero tolerance policy, we're going to get other variants in the fall. How do I know? Because the Biden administration is trying to get money to get vaccines together for it. Remember, these vaccines are only good for 90 days or so. You do understand that. I'm a target of it, okay? I'm still recovering. I went to the doctor today. He said, I'm still testing positive for COVID. They will, and here's what they told me. I could test positive for 90 days, but I don't have an active case of it. I'm not contagious anymore. They did more tests. Ira, it's just going to be in your bloodstream for a while. And I went, what about my voice? And this is what you deal with. They go, that could take up to 6 weeks. First, my doctor said 2 to 3. Now it's 6 weeks. So they gave me some pills that'll help me get beyond that. But these are all the parts. The good news, and they made it clear, I didn't end up in the hospital. I did get pneumonia from it. I didn't have to do that. And I feel really strong again. So I'll deal with that. Will I take the next COVID shot when I'm eligible? Because I just had COVID. Yeah, of course I will. It's no different for me than the flu. Every year the flu shot's not the best shot. You get the flu, but I'm still here. Okay, so when I look at the market, I still see downside momentum there. Copper. Do you ever go short under a Bollinger Band? If you haven't taken my enhanced Bollinger Band course, and by the way, we'll be talking about that in just, let me bring this up here so that we see it, if I can get it to play for us. There we are. This will teach you how to work with all that. We'll come to this in a minute here, but it's so important because with what I'm saying to you, it all fits in. So when you get a market on a weekly chart and you're under a Bollinger Band, no, you don't buy over them. Look at what happens in short order afterwards. Now, eventually, out of sideways action, you have to break out one way or the other, and to do that, you're going to get under or over. But it's probing the downside, not the upside. What's copper called? What's the key word? Dr. Copper, not Dr. Pepper. Dr. Copper. Why? Because copper is used in so many different items that are manufactured worldwide that it tells you is industry doing good or bad. Well, you've gone here from roughly $5 and you're down now to $3.70. Does that look to you like copper's doing real good? And by the way, copper's even down this week with Chile, one of the major producers, having a strike this week that finally got settled. But all these settlements are still inflationary. Today, United Airlines settled a strike. 18% increase in pay over the next, I think it's 14 months, something like that. It's crazy. 18%? Oh my God, now they're setting a template for the other airlines. Platinum. If China was coming out of COVID, platinum and palladium, I would think, would be getting a bump. Why? catalytic converters. Doesn't seem to be happening. We need chips. We need everything else that we can get out of these countries. We're not getting what we need just yet. Yet, chip prices have collapsed. When you look at my ETF videos, you'll see that. In any case, dollar index, still a powerhouse, still embedded. So until that red line closes under 79, and it's not there, I think the pros are buying this market. I think they're using these pullbacks to get long, and they're still looking for higher prices. So as I said, in my course, the Enhanced Bollinger Band course, it's a video course. So I go in, I create videos to explain first, what is a Bollinger Band? Number two, how is it plotted? Number three, how do you work with it with moving averages and momentum oscillators? Most people look at it and they have no idea what I'm talking about. Yet, if something works 95% of the time in keeping the market within that range, don't you think it's telling you there's a resistance point and a support point because 95% of the time it's staying there? I don't care if it's a long-term or short-term trend. It's 13 videos. It's not one. I'm going to teach you how to work with it. And then I just don't abandon it. For 14 days, when you start the course, you tell us when you want to start it. When you start it, you're going to get access to my complete research. Why? Because in the morning, I'm going to turn you on to both the Spider and the Futures ETFs. You can watch whatever you want. Now I'm discussing every morning, Monday through Friday, these different techniques, what they're doing. I'm going to just drive it into you. You know, at the end of the 14, you'd be smart to stay with the subscription. Why? It's like anything else in life. You'll say, I can fly on my own. Sure you can. Why do you think pilots go back to school almost every year? I laugh at it. People don't get it. You've got to stay and keep with it so that you make sure that you understand what you're doing, how to do it, and you stayed on the tried road. If you get off that road and start twisting and turning, you find yourself lost. You can go learn about this. It's really simple to do so on our website under the word education at iraepstein.com. You can just come right up here with your cursor, by the way. Click on the icon that appears when you do that. It'll take you right there as well. In the meantime, I'm Ira. It was a fun trading week. Let's see where we go from here. I'll see you Monday.